Hey guys, what's up? MurderofBirds here, and this is going to be my anime review for RWBY Volume 2, Episode 4.5. And this is actually a new concept that I guess that the creators of RWBY decided to implement, with this week being a hiatus from the series, which I guess they're going to polish the episodes up or something like that. But basically, we got essentially a history lesson of something that we already really knew of the series, but got a little bit more intricate details regarding Dust in the World of Remnant, which is the new series, which is the new segment that I guess they're going to be bringing into the series from time to time. Now, some of the people in the community have been a little bit bummed out because it's like, hey, we waited a whole week for a 2-minute episode, and I understand that, but in the same context, I'm personally not really that upset about it because of the fact that we got really short episodes in Volume 1, and we managed to make it there as well. But for those of you who are actually somewhat bummed out about that, know that Rooster Teeth has also made a RWBY live stream that they came out with today before the episode launched, regarding the series so far, what they thought about it. They answered some questions off of Twitter, and there is some new information that I am told. I haven't watched the live stream yet, but the live stream is about an hour and a half. So essentially, you could say along with this 2-minute informative episode, we got about an hour and a half of RWBY this week, which is pretty awesome, and I'm really looking forward to watching the live stream after I make this video. But anyways, we got into Dust. Now, Dust was introduced in the first series, in the first volume, episode 1. We got a little bit of insight off of Dust, the creations of Dust, how it came to be, and how humanity has used it to survive over the years and transcend and essentially create life and civilizations. And first off, before I go any further, I just want to give a shout out to Jen Taylor. Her narration, her voice of Cortana from the Halo series, is phenomenal, and I really did enjoy it. I liked it a lot. And it gave that sense of mysteriousness to the whole aspect of Dust and learning more about it. So first off, Dust comes in 4 elements: water, fire, ice, lightning, and wind. I want to say lightning and wind were the last two, the brown one and the green one. Green at least was wind. The brown one I want to say is a lightning. I also want to say it's earth, but it had lightning bolt symbols on the inside of it, so that's why I'm going based off of lightning. And we also learned that there are different types of augments, so you can augment and synthesize dust dust crystals essentially to get new properties and new forms of it, which is pretty cool. So essentially, I'm thinking if you have earth element and a fire element, you can combine those and make something, say, like magma, which would be pretty awesome. So we learned about that, and we can also take into context that that's something that we've already really knew to begin with, even though they didn't specifically say it, because if you look in the series, Cinderfall, she uses fire-based abilities, incorporated with her semblance, and Dust. Weiss uses ice, also being known as the Ice Queen and the Snow Angel. And then Neptune, we saw in episode 4, we saw his gun and his trident-looking transformation weapon, and it seems like that had some type of lightning property. So we already, right off the bat, we already knew something about this, but to get an actual formal confirmation that these are in fact elements is pretty awesome. From there, we know that Dust is incorporated in all types of technology regarding the series. It's used for weaponization for characters' weapons, since almost damn near every single weapon in the series is an iteration of a gun. Airships, androids, which Penny is also the first synthetic able to generate an aura, which aura also coincides with Dust and semblances and things like that. And the mechs, since Ironwood had mentioned that he is working alongside the Shinny Dust Company to bring the Elysian Paladin, which was those gigantic mechs that were introduced in episode 3 but showcased in episode 4 with Torchwick, since the White Fang also has those same type of mechanized weaponries. The Elysian Knights, I believe those are mechs to some degree. They're like mechanical soldiers, so I would say that those are also powered by Dust as well. So a lot of things in the series regarding the futuristic aspect of the series, because there are also some archaic senses of the series too, with like the ruins and the caves and all that stuff in the broken down parts of the world that have been explored a little bit in Volume 1. So there is that type of archaic and futuristic aspect of the series, and I would say that Dust has further technology for humanity because of the fact that it has so many different properties and it's used in so many different ways. So from there, we learn a little bit more about the usages of Dust and different ways that it could be iterated, different ways that it could be used. One is its pure state, which is said that if one were to use Dust in its purest form, they would have to have a high sense of discipline and control, mainly because essentially if you lose control of nature's wrath, essentially is what Dust is called, then you will essentially succumb to it and eventually be destroyed. Now, the first person that I thought of when this was mentioned was Cinder. Why? Because Cinder doesn't use a weapon like everybody else, and granted, you could say that she has a semblance, but the way that she was showcased in episode 1, her battle with Glinda, she was just shooting fireballs out of her hands, all right? She was just shooting fireballs, creating fire forces from below their feet. She used that crazy fire blast move to destroy the, the shrapnel and the shards that Glinda was using against her. And that right there tells me that Cinder is one of those people who have who fused dust with themselves to gain that extra power. And that's probably why she's able to control people like Torchwick, who's frightened of her, because she's able to just snap her fingers and create dust off of her fingertips. She has all of these people at her disposal because she's using dust at a higher level, a much more dangerous level than it was normally intended for humans to use. So that's very interesting to me, because I feel like down the line it's going to showcase somebody, or even her down the line, use dust in a sense of using too much of it or not being able to have control over it because it's something that you can't handle or someone down the road can't handle. Maybe they'll introduce a character who succumbs to it. I feel like that's a reason why they mentioned it to begin with. So that was very informative. And then the other versions of usages of dust, dust comes in cartridges, vials, crystal forms. They're used for ammo for damn near every weapon. Like I said, RWBY's, if you see Volume 1, if you check out her trailer when she's going up against those Beowulfs, when she switches her ammo cartridge, her bullets become the remnants of her bullets actually give off like a black type of smoke, which was instantly, for me, I was like, okay, she has to have used dust in some form for those weapons. Weiss as well, she uses elements and different types of iterations with Mirrornaster, which I hope that's the way that's pronounced. When she goes through different phases, like the red one, the blue one is obviously the ice, which she used that a lot, and so that's also another thing. But one of the coolest aspects of this episode that I really liked was the fact that it was disclosed that dust can be woven into clothing. I say that because I think from now on, not just the characters, I'm not just going to be interested in the characters, I'm not just going to be interested in who they're referenced from, what their weapon is, how their weapon transforms. I'm going to be interested in their attire now, because the fact that dust can essentially be utilized not just in weapons, not just in semblances and aura, but in clothing as well. And the first thing that I thought of about that was RWBY's scarf, her hood, her cape. She wears her cape everywhere she goes. She wears her cape in her normal attire, she wears her cape in her school uniform, and she wears her cape even after they have their costume changes or their attire changes in episode 4. Now, this tells me multiple things about the cape in of itself. Maybe the fact that her mother is no longer in the picture is maybe that's a keepsake from her mother. Maybe it's the fact that that's a very special cape that was given to her because it has some properties of dust, which is probably in essence how she's able to use her semblance, because when she uses her semblance, she gets rose petals that are also displayed when she's using her speed, which I don't think that's just there for the aesthetic beauty. I feel like that is essentially one of the bits of information that was disclosed from this episode, the fact that dust can be woven into clothing. And the first thing that I think about when I think of that is RWBY's scarf, or I keep saying scarf, RWBY's hoodie, or RWBY's her cape, her red cape. So that's something that I noticed, and now I feel like from now on I'm just going to look at everyone's attire and just think, I wonder if that's going to do something, or I wonder if that's going to do something. Even Neo, the new character that was introduced, she hasn't said anything or anything like that, but I feel like when Yang went to go and hit her, maybe it was because of the fact that she had some type of dust augmentation on her clothes or her umbrella that she was able to just, her and Torchwick were able to just disappear like that. So I thought that was pretty cool as well. But ultimately, a lot of good information regarding dust. I mean, granted, it wasn't an episode, but there's a lot of things that you can take from this little segment, this dust segment, and apply it to everything that you've seen thus far. Like I said, Cinder could be one of the people that was expressed this episode of being one of the people who fuses dust with their bodies, because she's able to just just use fire left and right. More so, the fact that she doesn't have a conduit to use her aura or to use her semblance, she just uses it. And another thing about Cinder, I highly doubt that this is just for the aesthetic beauty of it. She has a black tattoo on her back. Okay, now I don't know if dust is just as easily if you just eat it, if you ingest it or something like that, but I feel like it has to do, I feel like there's a ritual that goes on when you infuse dust into you. Maybe you have to draw on yourself. I don't know what the hell it is, but essentially she has a tattoo on her back, and I want to say there's no evidence to support this. Is just me wishful thinking or just thinking off the top of my head, but I feel like maybe she puts the dust, or someone infuses the dust into the tattoo on her back, and that's kind of like the gateway of how she's able to just keep putting dust in her to stay powered and stuff like that. Like I said, that's just something that I randomly thought of, but I feel like that tattoo has much more significance than we're letting on. It's just not just a normal tattoo. So, I mean, we got that. We got the dust information of the ammunition. Everyone has a gun. Everyone needs ammo, and dust is mainly that form of weaponry for them. And then the dust weaving into clothes. Like I said, Ruby's scarf, oh my gosh, Ruby's hoodie or cape, I don't know why he keeps calling it a scarf. Ruby's hoodie or cape is just, I feel like that's also an iteration of that information that we got. The fact that Ruby's cloak probably has some type of dust infusement to go with it. But great episode. I mean, 2 minutes. It was 2 minutes, but this information just makes me rethink of everything that's happened so far in the series, to where I can now apply the new information that was given this episode and apply it to everything that's happened and be like, okay, that makes sense now, or that's the reason why that happens. So, good episode. I can understand Rooster Teeth going on a little bit of a break. I give them all the time that they need this series. I'd rather the series be good. I'd rather the series come out perfect than, you know, just half-assing and just giving us an episode just for the sake of giving us an episode. Also, like I said, if you guys didn't check out, if you guys want to check out, they did a RWBY live stream that's in the link in the description regarding new information and kind of like an overview of the entire series thus far from their perspective. The voice actresses, Montium, Miles Luna, Carrie, and everyone else in the RWBY team. So you guys can go check that out. Leave a link. The link is in the description, but that's all I've got. Let me know what you guys took from this episode, what you guys think about it, what you guys applied, how you guys applied this knowledge to things that you already knew in the series, all that stuff in between. Also, be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate that, guys. But that's all I've got, and I will catch you guys next week. Take care.